Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Need Some Introduction. I'm your host, Victor, and on this podcast, we go week to week watching some latest streaming obsession, very popular shows, usually popular shows, sometimes just shows that I personally find interesting, and my co-hosts as well. Today's episode, we'll be discussing Paradise, episode 6, and joining me for this conversation is Darren. Darren, how are you doing?
I'm very good, Victor. Yes. Episode 6 of 8, I think.
Of
so
8?
we're heading towards the conclusion or maybe another giant kind of cliffhanger. But yeah, very interesting episode this week. Maybe not as entertaining as I hoped, but so at least something to talk about. And yeah, a few other things in the news. I caught up with the Oscars yesterday, saw a little bit of it and read a lot about it. And yeah, I also saw Scream 7 on the weekend. I know we were chatting about it last week.
Yeah, I definitely want to touch base on all those things. Interestingly, I agree, not the best episode of the season, but perhaps I have the most notes I've had on any episode this season. Let's start with your thoughts on the Academy Awards. My first observation, I already said this, by the way, already published an episode just today on DTF, St. Louis. These shows are right on top of each other. I can't record with my wife on the pit until Saturdays. So I record on Saturday, publish on Saturday. Then on Sunday, of course, we have this content. And then Paradise on Monday morning. So these episodes are like right up on top of each other. But hopefully these shows will be more spread out as we cover different things in the future. But I did watch the Academy Awards last night, had a minor discussion with it with Sauna earlier today. But Darren, I watched this show passively, just kind of had it on the background. I missed the opening monologue, but this morning I go to the YouTube channel for the Academy Awards, and they have that opening Conan O'Brien skit, which I hope you saw. It was actually pretty funny, where he's done up like the witch from Weapons, and his opening monologue, and then all the acceptance speeches. I saw all of them, the ones that I had missed during the actual show. And Darren, I saw the entire show, including the full coverage of the reviews, and I should say the acceptance speeches, and even some of the backstage stuff, which obviously is not part of the show. And I think I watched everything that was available there in about an hour and change. So my question to you, Darren, is how is it possible they cannot get this show under 4 hours when if I just cut out the content and watch it, it's about an hour? I don't understand how badly produced this show is, but that's the reality of the world.
That's insane, isn't it? Yeah, I just watched the first maybe hour before I had to head to the office, and then I just followed it on a blog, which was much easier way to follow the winners. But yeah, I did see the opening skit with the Weapons. Weapons is a big winner. Actually, a horror film getting an acting Academy Award is pretty cool. Yeah, I enjoyed the hits that they were giving to Chalamet with all the ballet and opera on stage. Was hilarious. And probably the biggest thing that stood out to me was the cinematography award. First time winner for a female winner, which I think is
crazy, right?
Incredible to think of. She's also married to an Australian cinematographer, which I found interesting. So yeah, awesome to see her win. Awesome to see the awards shared around between Sinners and One Battle as well. I mean, I think we picked Sean Penn with the Oscar as soon as we saw One Battle After Another. So it was funny to see him. Didn't even bother to show up.
He didn't show up. Shows up for the Golden Globes, does not show up for the Academy Awards.
He's in Ukraine sharing a cigarette with Zelensky, apparently. But yeah, I mean, insane that this thing goes 4 hours. Who can watch the whole thing? I don't know.
I can't imagine. I tuned out. I was watching it earlier, and then I was watching DTF. And when you texted me, actually, I was actually watching the HBO shows when you texted. And right away, based on your commentary, I knew that Chalamet had lost the award. But and then I switched over and watched the winners. I was, as I briefly touched on, I actually liked almost all the nominees this year. I liked all the recipients. I'm not a huge fan of Hamnet, but not Jessie Buckley's fault. Her performance is fantastic. So I would have preferred to see Rose Byrne, but nonetheless, still happy with the win. First Irish winner ever for Best Actress, I believe, is another surprising statistic. And
that's great.
And I did, in general, wasn't too surprised by anything. the fact that Michael B. Jordan kind of seemed to have taken the lead over Chalamet in the final stretch. And I got to say that the whole reaction to him, with him saying stuff about opera and ballet not being as relevant anymore, it really is. This is an absolute fact that there is a lot of ugly campaigning that goes on behind the scenes, especially in 11th Hour. But if this is all the dirt they could dig up on him, it was pretty weak sauce, but it actually worked. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of his voting block, like, Sean Penn is an extremely problematic person, but won his third Academy Award, right? So and that's generational, right? Like, they give awards to people, even if they are oftentimes have had multiple scandals in their lifetimes. And Chalamet, I think his voting block is younger, and these people are just kind of, I think, mainly just kind of sick of him. and definitely he just kind of made that social faux pas of being that type of person in public, which of course they're oftentimes like spoiled brats, and it's a generational thing, but they don't want to see it presented so overtly, I think. So he's still very young. He's got a long way to go. He just was nominated just 1 year ago. I forget what he's working on right now, but he may very well be nominated. Well, no, not Dune 3, which maybe he'll be nominated for that. I don't think so, though. But he's right after Dune 3. He's got something else in the pipeline, which may very well get him yet another Academy Award nomination. So I wouldn't feel too bad for him. He's got plenty of time to win his Oscar.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for him at all. I mean, he's got so much talent, and he'll get what's coming to him sooner or later. But I do think it was just funny. He says one offhand comment, and the tide just kind of turns on him. I think the public, as you say, they're possibly a little bit sick of seeing his face everywhere. And also with his choice of romantic partner may go against him as well. But people don't like to say that out loud. So, yeah, I don't feel that sorry for him. I feel great for Michael B. Jordan because he's an actor that's put in some amazing work over the years. And look, it's a competition, but it doesn't mean that the most worthy winner gets it every year. It's just a little bit of fun.
It's funny, too, just to watch. I rewatched a lot of the films at the end of the year, partially because I was catching up, where you were watching something later on, like Begonia, for example. So I rewatched it for that conversation. Then my wife would want to watch something, and she's like, what's nominated that I haven't seen yet? So then I'd watch it again. Literally saw Begonia like 3 times over the course of like 4 weeks, which is very rare for me. But one of the films I rewatched was Sinners. I liked it better the second time around. I still had all the same complaints I had about the back half of that film, but appreciated the strong points about it. And one of the things was, even in my original review, where I was a little lukewarm on the movie, but I shouted out how magnetic Michael B. Jordan was. When I saw it a second time around, I'm like, Michael B. Jordan could win Best Actor this year. And indeed, that's exactly what ended up happening. So, and good for him. That's a great performance, a dual performance, and a terrific performance.
Yeah, so good. And also, I was happy to see Ludwig Göransson win for Best Composer for Sinners. And that's his third win. He also won for, I think, Black Panther and Oppenheimer.
Black Panther.
Yeah. I mean, that guy is just a genius.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was funny. He said, he's Swedish or something. And he said his dad bought one of the first blues records ever in Sweden. So he goes way back with black music, which is, a core component of that Sinners film.
Not who you'd expect to be composing that soundtrack, but nonetheless, excellent. I mean, in any genre, of course.
Totally. Oh, yeah. I mean, that guy's absolute master.
But I got to say, complain about the box office and different aspects of it. I just specifically shout out that this is the first year they gave away a Best Casting Oscar. And I said this when I was doing my Oscar picks. I love this category. And not only do I love this category, what an incredible job that these people did. An invisible piece of work, which, cinematography is somewhat now finally understood. There's so many incredible cinematographers, and people will say, I love this movie and this movie. And they'll talk about a certain director but I didn't like this one as much. And I'm like, guess what? All the movies you liked the most all had the same cinematographer. These are very essential partnerships between directors and cinematographers. But I think that's a pretty well understood aspect of this. But I thought about just thinking again about best set decoration, and they're showing how the set design is done for a movie like Sinners, for example, and I'm like, could you imagine having to build that shack and aging it and putting the bottles on the shelf and putting the dust on the bottles? Like, all of that is character development, and it's invisible work that people don't appreciate. And casting director is another one of these completely forgotten skills. And I loved the films that were picked in this category. Think about One Battle After Another and how lived in that world feels, and how you feel in all those different scenes with sometimes dozens of people in the screen at the same time. They all feel like they know each other, and this is like a community. And that's all done because the casting director is casting well. And I can say that about these worlds that feel totally real. And that's the case for One Battle After Another, all the nominees. It's the case for Sinners, of course, which is set in this Prohibition era with this, like, one of the stars of the movie, the musician, is like not even an actor before this moment in his career, and an incredible musician, of course, and giving a great performance. What a great cast there. But I don't know if you've seen this movie yet or not, but The Secret Agent, the Brazilian film, these people are non-professional actors. And what an incredible variety of people in all shapes and sizes with these really unique faces that really feel like you are transported into this 1970s Brazil. And so every film that was nominated there. Oh, and by the way, Hamnet as well. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, Jesse Buckley, of course, gave a great performance. I thought that Paul Mescal was good, not the strongest part of the film. He's fine. But these kids give incredible performances. And once again, this is all very difficult to do, to cast children and make you believe this family. It's, really invisible work that I think I'm really happy that is being appreciated.
It's a really good point, because, I mean, a lot of directors say that casting is one of the main factors of whether a film is successful or not. And you don't really think about it. I mean, casting could happen many, many months, maybe years before the film is actually shot. So it is a real specialized skill. And I thought that lady who won Best Casting, how cheeky was she on stage? She was absolutely ecstatic. And I think she called out P.T. Anderson for getting an Oscar before him. But and also the two women, the young girl and Tiana Taylor in One Battle After Another, so amazing in that film. And they didn't win Oscars, but I think they both got nominated. But it's an award that is like a team effort award.
Absolutely.
And so it's cool to see something new.
And it's all a team effort, right? Like, once again, you think about the set decoration and the makeup and the special effects and the cinematography and the costumes and the casting now as well. And by the way, they're going to introduce, I think in 1 year or 2 years, best stunts as well. Like, these are, again, invisible work. And when you say, oh, that movie was so exciting because of that stunt sequence, because the director's so brilliant, it's like, or it's because someone actually hung off the side of a plane. Right? Like, let's give the people credit for what they actually did.
That is cool. That's a cool category to have as well. Yeah, I couldn't name a stunt person in the industry, so I'd like Tom Cruise be able to do that. Yeah. And also, shout out to Frankenstein, who did win, I think, best set decoration, best makeup, costume maybe, or someone else won costume. I can't remember. But yeah, another genre film that's getting a bit of recognition. Is really good to see old Guillermo have some wins there.
Yeah. And of course, his team specifically. It's funny because I had recommended when we talked about the movie that everyone should watch that documentary. And I said to my wife, I know that was very popular. Like, when you look at on Letterboxd, the most popular films ranked last year by number of votes, that not only did that documentary pop up as a pretty high up on that list, it also has a higher average rating from viewers than the actual Frankenstein movie. And I'm like, having that on Netflix, and a lot of people who have Netflix watch that little documentary after they watch the movie. And you know what? In general, we don't know the faces and the names of the people who do all this invisible work. Anybody who has Netflix and watched that feature after Frankenstein met all those people. And guess what? Those people won Academy Awards. So this is going to be a trend in the future for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, it looks great in the film, but when you see the behind the scenes and you in that documentary, I mean, these creations that they've done are just incredible pieces of magic and art. Yeah, I love seeing behind the scenes documentaries like that. DVD packs, you used to get the second disc, which had a few things and had commentaries, and I used to just devour that information because you couldn't get that anywhere else.
Did you happen to see speaking of Paradise, did you see the skit, the Casablanca skit with Conan O'Brien and Sterling K. Brown?
I did not, no. Oh, Sterling was there, was he?
Yes, it was very funny, actually. Conan O'Brien says, we've heard in recent reports that there's this trend now where people assume you're not paying attention to the movie, so they have to tell you what the movie's about again while you're watching it. So they go, in the spirit of that, here's the remake of Casablanca. And Conan O'Brien, it's in black and white. They put a filter on the camera. And Conan O'Brien is playing the role of, who's the lead character?
Humphrey Bogart.
Right. And Sterling K. Brown is playing at the piano. He's playing Sam. And he says, why did she have to come into my life again, Sam? And Sterling K. Brown goes, when you say her, do you mean Ilsa? And then he's talking about it's so hard, my heart was so broken. And he goes, and when you say your heart was broken, is that because she left you at that train station all those years ago? And they keeps going in that direction, like they do the Casablanca dialogue. And then he keeps adding the context that you may have missed in the moment. And then the best is he goes, and when you say the word, do you mean World War II? And then he goes, that's the one with Hitler, right? And Conan O'Brien goes, it certainly is. And then they transition to the next award. And then Sterling K. Brown goes, and when you say the award, you mean the Academy Awards, right? So yeah, that's how we watch TV nowadays.
That is hilarious. It's so cringe, but it's so true. I did love the skit that they've got a team of people working on converting widescreen films into a vertical portrait, so you could watch the films on your phone.
I haven't seen that. I got to see that
portrait
one.
mode. Oh yeah, you got to see that. It's funny.
I got to track that one down. Yeah, I thought it caught all the skits, but I might have missed that one. Okay, a couple of things. One thing I watched that I want to just shout out very briefly. This is very handsomely produced. We're thinking about maybe discussing it on the podcast in general. There's been a lot of things on the podcast recently, obviously, but it's Young Sherlock Holmes. Guy Ritchie directing the first couple episodes. And apparently, I think we're supposed to believe this is like in the universe of the Robert Downey Jr., version of Sherlock Holmes. And it is one of the Fiennes. The younger Fiennes is here. Not Rafe is his uncle, I believe. But anyway, he looks in face a lot like Ray Fiennes, a younger version of Ray Fiennes. And anyway, all this is to say that this is totally fine. I think I texted you that. This is totally fine. And I've been watching it a little at a time, even though it's available as a binge. And I'm just like maybe a little more than halfway through it. And I have to say that at this point in the show, maybe 5 or 6 episodes in, I'm still going to finish it because we're getting close to the end. I want to know how it resolves. But it does kind of have this high energy every single episode kind of in repeat, that it kind of starts feeling like someone who has a lot more energy telling you a story that they're way more into than you are, but I'm still pushing through. If you are a big fan of these type of pretty straight-faced, with a little bit of winking interpretations of Sherlock Holmes, and there've been a lot of these, this is totally fine. If you love those, you're going to love this. But for me, it was just good. Have you sampled it at all?
Yeah, put that on the poster. Totally fine.
Totally fine.
I started watching it, but it was late at night and I couldn't work out who Sherlock Holmes was. Whether
oh my God, who are they, right?
Then he didn't have a beard, and then I couldn't work out Moriarty. It lost me. I watched about 10 minutes and went, no, it's too late for this. So I might have to go back and attack it later on.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion, you're not missing that much if you're missing it, but I do think it's very popular. There's like a couple of sites I go to look at just like what is trending. It seems to I think this is 2 weeks in, it's still trending at number 1. So I think it's been popular. And again, if you love Sherlock Holmes stories, this is probably a good one for you. I like Sherlock Holmes. I actually like the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes films, so especially the first one more than the second one. But Yeah, so I was all about, interested in this. It's fine. It probably would have worked much better if it was 4 episodes or maybe just a 3-hour movie or something. It's a lot to sustain a Sherlock Holmes story, basically, for this amount of time. They do have like little mini mysteries per episode, so there is something that gets resolved each time, which is also kind of a pattern with these Sherlock Holmes stories. But it still is really just one big mystery, and the little mysteries aren't that satisfying in and of themselves. So it's just fine. But I'm sure people like it more than I do.
And all the episodes dropped at once, right?
Yeah, it's all available to stream if you want to catch up on it.
Yep.
Or if you don't have to wait. If you're only like 1 or 2 episodes in, it's all there waiting for you. And do you want to talk about Scream 7 at all?
Again, you can put it on the poster. Totally fine as a Scream movie. I was a little bit torn. I enjoyed seeing Neve Campbell back.
Yep.
I enjoyed seeing the mask and the villain and his body movements and the way that he twists his head. It just it doesn't have the magic for me anymore. I didn't have wildly offensive views to it as some people did, and I didn't have massively positive views to it. I just thought it was completely fine as a slasher flick. But the reveal of the baddies didn't make any sense to me at all. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Is that what they're doing? Okay. But yeah, I enjoyed Courtney Cox. I enjoyed seeing some of the old gang back together, but it was just like a Sunday afternoon divergement for me. But no, I don't have anything to say about it. Sorry.
It is such a nothing burger of a film, which is what disappointed me the most because I've been such a fan of the franchise. And you guys, I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm just going to say a few things that are minor, could kind of maybe, if you squint, might be considered spoilers. So you can jump ahead just a minute or two. But the only context I want to mention to you, Darren, is that I mentioned how I was on board with this movie until about 2/3 of the way through. And I could not describe that as the movie went on for that last half hour, how I literally felt my energy level leaving my body. Like I was just little by little, all my goodwill just going away. And basically what it comes down to is that I thought the opening kill was pretty cool. And it's suspenseful as well. I thought the film was pretty well made, not as visually inventive as some of the other ones have been, but pretty solid. And then the film just basically repeats itself exactly beat for beat what the first film was. And I was on board with the film being like, oh, they're going to do something with this. They're redoing the film to some end. And I was waiting like, what's the payoff? What's the payoff? And then the payoff comes. And here's where the major, some pseudo spoilers come in here, guys, if you want to jump ahead, which is just that it turns out they're repeating the first film because they have nothing new to say. That was the first thing that bothered me, that they really had nothing new. The second thing that bothered me was AI, dude. The AI stuff was insultingly stupid. You could have done it in an interesting way, but also just a cheap way to get cast members into the film, which I thought was insulting. And then the reveal, which I won't reveal here, but the laziest possible reveal of the killers ever. They've always, even the films that aren't great, they at least have a clever motivation and, like that person was in plain sight the whole time. This time around, it's just like they didn't even try. They didn't even try. It was just so insulting, I thought.
Okay, yeah, that's the feeling I got from it. I was like, really? They're the killers? Okay. But yeah, the AI stuff I was actually quite interested in because I enjoyed seeing the actor from the first film. I don't think that's a spoiler. I think everybody knows that already. And I wanted to have more of an AI denouement at the end, which could have been really interesting in today's world.
They could have done something interesting with it. I totally agree. Yeah. I just feel like they used it just to, literally have that. They have one character that is like, is that person alive or not? And kind of playing with that. But then the last time they use it, where it's like they're just changing into the other characters because like, we told you we're going to bring them back. So we're going to bring them all back in like a 10-second sequence. I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst possible way to use this.
Yeah, I tend to agree, but it's made all the money in the world. So there's definitely going to be another Scream, you'd think.
Oh,
I didn't stay through the credits. I don't know if there was a sting at the end.
I think I did wait in case there was a scene, and I don't think there was one. Or I might have just Googled it on my phone while I was standing there waiting for the credits to end.
Yeah, but like I said, Nev Campbell was great. It was great
Yeah,
to see
I did like her. She gave a pretty good performance.
She's lovely. She's beautiful, and she's still going strong. So, yeah, I thought that was a real big positive.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the one thing is that they've maintained the relationship with the core characters where we'd like to see them come back. Although, I mean, Courtney Cox, they obviously have to bring her back. She's been in every one of these. But, I mean, what was she doing in this movie? Really, like literally nothing.
It was distracting. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. No more Scream talk. Let's talk about Jane. Let's talk about Jane. This is the episode of this 6 of 8 episodes is called Jane. The 6th episode appropriately because this episode opens with a text message via like AOL Messenger or something in 1997. I love that this is technology appropriate, 1997 technology, very fun. And that it is, what does this message say? A killer will be born, and this killer will be born on 12:01 a.m. At least it wasn't 6/7. Thank God.
Oof. Yeah. It's any of that. Yeah. So, all right, Jane. Of course, it's an episode. I feel like last episode I said, as long as we're away from Jane, I'm happy. So this week, the actual episode is called Jane, and she's Black Widow apparently, or something like that. So, not my most favorite character in this show, but that message at the start. So this is the time travel thing that they're seeding.
Yes,
again.
Of course.
This is Alex. So okay,
from Alex G, right? Is it Alex G? Was the screen name?
Yeah. So this is interesting, and we need to work out what this is coming, where this is coming from, and how this affects the story. So I'm down with that. I'm cool, but the character of Jane doesn't really do much for me, I have to say.
Oh, absolutely. This is a preposterous character, I think, which is fixed. Honestly, giving her a little bit of backstory has improved her a little bit, but there's still so many insane aspects, explained and unexplained, about her character. And of course, like you said, we spend it all here on this episode. One thing, it's funny, like last week I specifically said, well, I assume, and even based on the trailer, that of course we're going to pick up exactly from where we left off at the train line with the mailman and Xavier. So that has to happen. And if that's what they spend the episode negotiating that, and then eventually having a reunion with Terry, maybe towards the end of that episode, I'm like, are we even going to get back into paradise before the end of the series? Like, is it going to be the very last episode? So in a way, this is very generic TV pacing, but I'm actually all for it because like we got a lot of ground to cover here. And the fact that they very awkwardly, honestly, have an episode that's almost exclusively set inside of paradise, and then yet have this like wrap around with just Xavier just so that he can meet up with Terry. Honestly, it's like it's only to have a cliffhanger last week, because the 3 minutes or 4 minutes we spend with them this episode could have easily been added to last week's episode, and this could have been a 100% inside the bunker episode if we wanted to. So I'm not sure why they structured it this way, but I'm just happy that we're moving forward with the plot.
Incredibly frustrating, because I loved the scenes with Xavier and the mailman at the start and at the end. I loved him explaining the plan and where he's going to plant the dynamite. I loved the turn at the end of the episode. And also we almost get the meeting between Xavier and his wife. I thought that was thrilling. Yep. Loved it. It's just that whole thing in the middle I was not as on board with.
So yeah, I mean, this whole Jane backstory is so crazy. Important to the plot, obviously, that what does this message say? A killer's going to be born, but she can be stopped when it matters, or something to those extents. And then this guy, Don, I think his name is getting this message. He's just some guy with a computer. I don't know why he's the one who's been chosen for this, because it's one thing that's for sure. Of all this Alex AI or time traveler or whatever this computer or machine is that picked this guy, they didn't pick him for his tact, that's for sure. He shows up at the hospital, he's like, that's the baby, isn't it?
But what was his deal? I mean, that's all he's supposed to say. That just is this line to the mum, and the mum's supposed to all of a sudden hate this baby or have something to do with this baby and to change her destiny. I mean, it was a bit weird. As you say, he's just a guy with a computer. I didn't see anything else in his character to make him make sense.
Also, the mom, of course, she has that moment later on where after the daughter tries to murder her, so maybe not as negative or maybe not as unmotivated as it may seem, that she says that crazy guy in the parking lot was right. But once again, I'm not sure what this actually proves. So Alex has sent this message back in time so that this guy can yell at her being she can be stopped when it matters. Is the mom going to say this to her? Like, what does the mom have to do with, I assume she's going to be stopped at some point in the future. Why does the mom need to know this? I don't understand. This is very confusing to me. And I'm not sure it's going to pay off the way they intended to. Just that, of course, she is central to everything that happened there, because theoretically, you can imagine this time traveling information or person could have done other things to prevent Jane from ever getting into the bunker, right? So I guess it's essential that she's there. She just has to stop killing people at the right time, is what it comes down.
Well, that's right. And I'm super confused because I assume Sinatra's in charge of Alex. Sinatra's sending these messages back, but Jane is actually quite crucial for Sinatra's plan inside the bunker,
right,
as her henchperson. So I don't get it. Hopefully it'll be explained in nearer episodes.
Right. But this mom seems to be a pretty crappy mom in general. She has wants nothing to do with her crying baby when she's first born. She's exhausted. She seems to be alone. So understandably, being a mom is tough. Just see Hamlet, everybody. No, but the
or if I had legs.
Yes, maybe even more so, for sure. A lot of movies about being mommies are tough, right? I mean, think about Tiana Taylor's character. She just bails as well. Not the best mom there. I mean, a lot of that, now that I'm just digressed on that, but a lot of those movies are about being dads are tough and being moms are tough. That's the theme of the year. Frankenstein, another father.
Yes.
Another dad movie. And, but yeah, to your point, it's what is, obviously you would assume, maybe not obviously, but you would assume that there's some transparency between what Alex can do and how Sinatra is using it, but is still, has she set up Jane, brought her to this moment? That's possible, right? If Sinatra's pulling levers, is she using Jane as a weapon, which of course is explicitly said here in the show, that she thinks she can control until the moment that she needs to turn her off, which seems to be the case. But if that is the message, then why is this guy he's not saying this to Sinatra or something in the future. He's saying this to the mother. It's very odd. I'm not sure how that information is going to get back to whoever needs to know it at some point in the future.
Yeah, but totally agree.
I assume they'll explain it in some way. I'm assuming we're not supposed to understand exactly how this pays off later on. But let's spend a couple more minutes on this bad seed kid, which now, was she born bad on 6/6/1201? Or, is a bad seed born that way, like a demonic? I was like, oh my God, it better not be 666. And this is now we have a demonic baby in this show as well. That's the only other thing we would need. But we have this mom who, one way or the other, whether she's born bad or not, this mom's not the most attentive. But of course, this girl tries to cook her inside the spa because her friend, Climby, is telling her to kill her parent. Not great. And of course, even less great when the mom tries to turn around as fair play and throws her in there herself.
What a bizarre scene. Yeah, I don't know. I've taken a few saunas in my time and never has the temperature gauge been on the outside. It's always on the inside where you
Absolutely
can actually
true.
see. So,
absolutely true.
Yeah.
I mean, the timer is set on the outside. I was just thinking about that, right? You can set the time out there, but yes, not the temperature itself. You want to be able to control the temperature inside the sauna. Very good point. And why is there a lock on the outside? Why are you trying to be able to lock people in?
Exactly.
They've designed that all right. They put the inside components on the outside. That's what actually happened. And Climby's trying to show them the flaw in their design. And then we see Jane later on This is a crazy scene, right? Like you said, it's this Black Widow training she's going through, being slapped around by one of the other agents, and her handler or her superior, Stacy, is watching her and telling her, look, you weigh 105 pounds. You need to learn how to use your skills to be able to overcome your limitations. And she says, you know what? You're incredibly sharp. I have not seen anything that indicates that Jane is a super genius, although she obviously has the skill of deceiving people. But it's very funny that like, oh, you're so sharp, you're so smart. However, you have psychological problems. And then she just offers up, well, I hear voices sometimes. And Stacy's like, just shut. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear about, because I'm going to have to kick you out of here immediately if you're telling me you're hearing voices. But no, Stacy does not take action. She tells her what she really needs to do is meditation.
Yeah, and it reminded me of a scene in The Agency, that CIA show that we were watching there's a handler who's trying to break the lady that's tied to the chair and then ultimately falls in love. I thought that was going to happen, but it didn't. But I mean, she knew the handler was part of her organization anyway, but he still kept tormenting her and she has to figure out a way to kind of defeat him. I thought it was a bit silly. But yeah, meditating is great, Victor. You should try it sometime. But I mean, I don't know if it's gonna totally harness the assassin's kind of whole mental attitude.
I like that. Maybe I don't think that's what Stacy was intending with the meditation. Like, you need to calm your mind. And she's like saying, like, ooh, when I calm my mind, I'm a much more efficient killer. But it works until, of course, eventually Stacy comes to her, and this is very much like a template for what ends up happening between her and Sinatra, where she tells him, oh, I should have gotten that position, but that guy, he got that job. And she's like, well, why did he get the job if you're more qualified? He has a penis. And she shows up for dinner a couple of days later and is like, well, guess what? He doesn't have one anymore. I brought it to you as a gift. Hopefully not part of the dinner thing.
Yeah, look, words fail me. That is just good on Jane, for sure. She's committed and she does exactly what's not needed and takes everything the wrong way. But yeah, good on her, little psychopath with the penis in the bag. Poor guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he does seem like a jerk. He may not deserve the promotion, but I'm not sure that was the correct result that should have come of all of that. And more importantly, we now have her going to a superior saying, hey, I hear voices sometimes. And she already has failed her psychological screening. And now this is obviously very problematic. I'm pretty sure you're going to lose your job if you have castrated a coworker, regardless of all the other stuff. I mean, just on top of that, you're definitely going to get a underperformance for the current quarter, if that's the case. And beyond all that she has somehow failed upwards to be like a Secret Service agent. Like, what is going? Is this commentary on the type of people who get these roles? Because I mean, I do not understand how she's not immediately, if she's afraid to report her or something, you still need to like raise an alarm, because this is obviously very problematic behavior.
Well, yes, and well, you're right. I mean, if she doesn't report her, she just lets her go. Or maybe there is actual roles for certified psychopaths in the Secret Service and that she is headed straight for, but I don't see it, especially when she's effectively the same job as Xavier and the same job as Billy, who was also extremely problematic as well. So yeah, I mean, what a terrible detail the president has got himself.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Billy, where Sinatra met him as an assassin and then brought him into the fold. So, I mean, maybe that's exactly what she's looking for. Maybe just in the same way that he was outside and she brought him back in. But then, of course, he turned out to be kind-hearted, more kind-hearted than Jane, for example. Maybe, it seems explicitly that she had Billy as her first person, but had Jane embedded in a way to keep an eye on him. So, of course, when he went soft, she weaponized Jane against him. So who knows? Is there someone weaponized to take out Jane if necessary? I don't know who that would be. There's not many people left on Sinatra's detail.
That's a good point. I feel like they're saving Xavier for that job, but happy to be surprised. But how good is Jane? She's so happy she's got a Switch now rather than the Wii. She's got the upgraded model. I don't know who she's going to be playing that with, but she's stoked.
She can't play
That's
with
all
anybody,
she
though,
needs.
unfortunately. She killed all her, people she played with. But what do you think of the performance? I actually thought she does a good job of selling this kind of ridiculous character. All of it is just kind of silly. But I did think, giving her more screen time was interesting. But honestly, not more that I needed to see of this character. So.
I tend to agree. I'm a bit off on the whole character, that I couldn't actually focus on the performance too much. But I did enjoy the scene where she was sent out to confront the intruders. And again, she used her meditation skills that she's learned previously to be able to get the weapon. But I enjoyed that standoff, and I enjoyed the way that she conveyed that information. That was quite exciting to me. But yeah, I think that was the highlight.
A lot about where she is mentally, and one of her is definitely the level where she has her hair. Whether she have it back in a bun, is it down, is it up and pretending to be Sinatra at all? Like the way she's holding her hair is very important to this character.
I did forget about that. So she wants to be Sinatra. Is that what you're saying? Or she's wanting to maybe impersonate her in the future?
Well, that's an interesting point. The dynamic there is maybe the most interesting thing that's going on in this show. She obviously, we see Stacy as like a forebearer to what's happening with Sinatra. And I thought this as I was watching this show, seeing her with that very fitted white shirt, with her jacket open, with her hips out, with her hands in her pockets. I'm like, she's standing like Sinatra. And this is earlier in the episode when she walks in. So I'm like, that's weird. She's very much like mirroring Sinatra's physical posture. And I'm like, but maybe that's just because she like looks up to her and she idolizes her. And Sinatra questions her and says, well, earlier on you said that I'm not valuable to you if I'm dead. What did you mean? And she says, well, I'm just a weapon and you need to point me at somebody and pull my trigger. So that's who Sinatra is, fitting that role. Or is she? Because when Sinatra leaves, she's in the mirror now pretending to be Sinatra. So maybe that's all this infatuation with these strong females that she gravitates to. Maybe there is some protectiveness there, but maybe it's just more than that. Maybe she wants to become these people, single white female style.
That's a really good point. I didn't pick that up earlier in the episode, but that's a good pickup. Yeah, that's a great idea. I just don't think it's been developed enough for me to really latch onto it. But it's, look, I don't know. Just thinking of her history with Sinatra and how it's possibly been affected with time manipulation, I'm completely lost. So yeah, hopefully we figure out what Jane is up to later on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to have to pay this off in some way. Do you think she's still hearing Climby in her head? Do you think Climby's still out there?
Of course he is. Yeah, he has to be.
Yes. Can't wait to see what
grow
Climby
out of
looks.
that.
I love when she comes back to her present moment because Hadley, is that her name? The daughter says to her when she's on the detail with the mother, being like, make sure nothing bad happens to my mom. And she says, I would never let anything bad happen to your mom. Okay. Evidence to the contrary. Every time this woman is alone with somebody in a room, that person ends up dead. Second of all, I shot your mom in the throat a few days ago. Or I guess a few months ago at this point. But maybe the reason you shouldn't trust, like, please don't shoot my mom in the throat again. All right.
I was a bit thrown that they just introduced this character. I can't remember her having any lines or anything in the whole show, but all of a sudden the daughter is a key character to help with information to talk to Xavier's daughter, Presley, which is another subplot that's going somewhere in the background and not really advancing that far. But yeah, I'm not sure how I'm being a bit negative about this episode, Victor, but I'm not sure how much I'm interested in all these kids doing their little games.
Oh, I mean, I don't push back on the fact that you're irritated with this, because you're absolutely right. We have now been introduced to these characters. First of all, Hadley herself, we saw in the first season that Sinatra is like very concerned about the well-being of her husband and her family, and her family's so important to her. And we literally do not see these. And I don't even know, so little do we see them. We only see them in the very last episode of the show, but so little do we see them. I don't even know if this is the same actress, because I think she was only in a couple of scenes last year in the first place. But more importantly, like to your point, this is the first time we're seeing spending any time with Presley. Her brother is there, doesn't speak a line of dialogue here, and we're supposed to be so concerned for these folks. We've spent no time with these people this season at all, and all of a sudden the plot revolves around this group of people. It's not well structured at all.
Yeah, the president's son as well has been given really nothing. He's talking to the guy who designed the bunker or something. He says he says, something about Inglourious Bastards, how he's an extra in that. I didn't get that joke either. Is that just because he's got a German accent? I couldn't quite understand that.
That's all it is. And they also make a Shawshank Redemption reference later on as well.
Yeah, I didn't mind that, but still, it doesn't seem to be progressing very fast at all. And all I was thinking is, let's get back to Xavier, because he's actually got a plan that he's going to pull off. We'll see. Yeah, bunker fail this episode. I'm really sorry.
No, I agree. But there's so many details we still have to cover briefly here. Because of Jane, this is the show about Jane, this episode, but the insane yada, which I was hoping they would actually do this, but still just how funny they address this after she's like, I'll never let anything bad happen to your mom, even though I'm the one who put her in the hospital last time and threatened her life. Now I'm her best friend. Let's go meet with the council. The council's going to vote her back into power, even though there was like this whole hierarchy and this whole process that needed to happen last time. Now it's just like a yes, no vote, apparently, whatever. That all happens behind closed doors, of course, because it doesn't make any sense. But more entertaining is she comes in and she's like, I got news for everybody. The president's dead. And they're like, what president? Another president's dead. And of course, the person who killed them is standing right next to her. But we caught the person who's responsible, and yada, yada, yada over the whole thing. Before you guys can ask any questions, let me put this monitor on real quick. Second point, there's a militia outside. And I love one of these guys is just like, there's people living out there. And she's just like, don't worry about that. We got to send someone out there to talk to. I'm like, okay, this is a lot to unpack in 10 seconds.
It's a lot, and I like the scene, but not for these reasons at all. I mean, some of these billionaires could be really interesting. They're just faceless, nameless. Yeah, as you say, there's people surviving outside. These guys are not in the circle at all. But I did enjoy that the bunker there has some beautiful original pieces of art. I think they had Van Gogh's Starry Night in the corner there. I think there was the statue of the Venus de Milo. I like little details like that, is that they've stolen these artworks just to keep them safe at the end of the world. But I think I was taking the wrong things out of this scene.
That's what you were focused on.
I was totally focused on that. I thought that was really interesting.
What do you think about this technology, which, I mean, does exist now? So I guess this is correct in some ways. But Tarabi is looking for Alex because she's been eavesdropping on these conversations. And she goes through all of her tapes with Sinatra and look for any reference to Alex, and finds a reference and saying, I'm afraid of what I need to begin and need to become to save them. So apparently this is trying to set up what we saw briefly in the last bunker episode this season. I think it was episode 3, with this idea that she has this brutal methodology, but it's to this goal that, like, I will get these people back above ground looking at a starry sky. I'm just going to have to kill a lot of people to get to that point. Or maybe it doesn't matter if I kill them or not, because I'm going to rewind everything eventually at the end.
Yeah, I did like the way that Tarabi found those voice snippets and was trying to piece that together. I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, until we know what Sinatra is up to, until we know the rules of this time manipulation, it doesn't mean anything to us. So yeah, I'm struggling to hold on to that idea. But yeah, it's good to see Tarabi back in a little role every now and again, doing a little sleuthing. Yeah, but yeah, I'm really keen. I want some answers. I'm really keen for some answers, especially what Sinatra is up to and what Alex is up to, and how much the outsiders know of Alex, because that is the reason they're at the bunker, to kill Alex. So I'd like to know what they know too.
Yeah, I think we're getting close to that point, but it does feel like this was a lot of delay tactic, especially spending all this time on a character that, honestly, do we care about this Jane character? And we do like, and I do like aspects of what else is going on. Like you mentioned, maybe spending less time on explaining Jade. Maybe she's that important to the story. We need to understand her, possibly. I'll hold that possibility, but it just seemed like not a great way to spend the time here. But there are some things that are interesting that they didn't spend a lot of time on. And one of the craziest things, another of the craziest scenes here, is when Tarabi walks in on, now knows from talking to Robinson that Jane is the real culprit. It makes it sound like she's the one who's really pulling all the strings, which is not the case. Literally, Sinatra sent Jane to murder these people, right? Like the whole chewing gum reference, right? These are breath mint, I should say, breath mint.
Yep.
So this is, she's being controlled, at least currently, by Sinatra's whims. But the craziest thing about it is that we have her walk in. She knows full well now that this person's like a mass murderer. And then she just confronts her, like calls her out there in the moment. Do you buy that? I mean, she could have killed her right there. I mean, she's been killed other people for less reason. But do you buy this whole thing where she's trying to warn Jane that Sinatra's not to be trusted because, hey, I did her bidding too in the past. So do you think that will somehow get through to Jane? I don't know if that's a good strategy.
I thought it was crazy that you'd approach this person, even knowing the bare minimum of what she's capable of, that Tarabi would confront her like that with almost no fear for her own safety. Yeah, I thought that was a bit bizarre, I have to agree.
And then we get to the end of the episode, a few things happening at the same time. Hadley is now, because of that confrontation in the diner, she asks her mom like one question, and now suddenly has been like, I don't trust my mom anymore because of that message in the sky about not trusting Sinatra. And hey, are you Sinatra? Yes, that's my code name. Okay, now I don't trust you anymore. Or, believe that you have your own reasons for doing this behavior. And now she reaches out to Presley, and now they're going to head down to the prison, which Hadley now is saying that she knows where this prison is, even though Sinatra says she doesn't. So somehow, once again, I'm not even sure how she got this information, but apparently she did. And of course, meanwhile, down there, we have that Robinson is helping this, Cal's son and this scientist bust out in the middle of the night. Yeah, and I guess they're on a collision course with Hadley and Presley. But of course, the best part of the whole episode, the most entertaining aspect of it, is what's happening with Xavier and Gary. That photograph, by the way, she sees Gary's photograph, that there's Terry, and Gary's looking at Terry and not looking at the camera. And that's all he needs to know, that Gary's going to turn on him, and throws the explosive away. And I'm glad it didn't have some kind of needless cliffhanger where everybody has him at gunpoint and then Terry emerges. They actually have this reunion at the end, which actually was pretty emotional, that moment where they see each other, which thank God, because this episode otherwise was really, really rough.
Thank God. Yes, was much more interesting to me. How's the look of Gary looking at Xavier's wife? So creepy, that photo. But yeah, I liked Xavier's little plan. I liked the way he snuck forward with the dynamite and was able to set it. But trusting Gary with the detonator was just silly, completely ridiculous. If Xavier can read Gary like he has read most people, I thought that was a bit silly. But yeah, I thought the reunion, or the almost reunion, was really cool. It was finally great to see one of the story arcs almost completed, even though it did end on a bit of a cliffhanger. Yeah, I was thrilled to see Xavier see his wife again, and vice versa. I thought it was very cool. And she doesn't seem to be a prisoner or anything. She's completely with these guys, with this militia, and looking forward to traveling on the train with them. So how's Xavier going to get out of this? Surely Terry's got a bit of sway and Xavier will be okay. But the fact that he's blown up something kind of works against him.
I honestly think this is going to resolve very quickly, especially when you consider so many things that got yada yada this week. It does seem like, to your point, that Terry can literally move people out of the way who are armed and they're not resistant to her at all. And I mean, I think if she says, "That's my husband," let him explain himself. And he says, "Well, this is what happened." And then says, "I was under this pretense that you guys had kidnapped her." And I'm like, "That's not true. They're going to help us. They're going back to Colorado." And he goes, "Here's this picture of this guy in my backpack. This weirdo told me this lie and told me that you were being kidnapped. And all of it was a plan to kill me." And she says, "Oh, I know. That creeper's been creeping on me for decades." Not decades, but for 3 years now. So I figure this is all going to blow over with a conversation. Not that it would in the real world, but I'm saying that that's the logic here on the show. And they need to get back to Colorado. And by the way, they are going to get back to Colorado. We know, I was thinking, is there something happening here with the timelines being out of whack? But that's not true, because Link says, "I'm not going to wait for the train anymore." So they left before the train arrived. Now the train is going to depart. Maybe there's a day or something that we're not accounting for here. But within a day or two, at some point during this negotiation, I think the train's going to arrive. The people are going to arrive. The paradise is going to open. By the way, very important point I should bring up is that they said that if they can cut off the oxygen supply, so that now they're like inside the guts of the paradise, inside the bunker itself, this scientist knows where the oxygen production system is. If they sabotage it, then there is a failsafe that pops open all the doors. This is not the best design. Again, this guy designed the system. You might be like, you have some emergency venting, but no, that's not what happens. Cut off oxygen supply, all the doors unlock everywhere in the entire system, which of course means that people can now enter. And we know that Xavier and that Link are going to be walking down a hallway together before the end of this season. Or, I mean, maybe next season, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen at the end of this season. Maybe in the very last episode. And just as we're supposed to find out what's happening, cliffhanger, but hopefully it won't be that abrupt, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, how convenient. Just in one small room, if the oxygen gets cut off, every single door in the facility opens and lets in whatever is outside, whether it be bad air, bad people,
viruses, we don't know, like fires.
Yeah, it's all on.
It could be just
Great
pure
design.
nitrogen outside, and we suck it into the locate or offices. I mean, I'm sure it's like when they get to this location, it's probably not going to be like just a switch they flip. It's probably like a large oxygen producing system, but still, like you said, that it just happens to be conveniently next door to the prison. And you just knock this out. And it's not like one emergency vent at the top of the mountain that rushes air in. It is just, hey, everything just pops open. No problem. Easy peasy.
No problem at all. Yeah. And I did like the way that Jane referred to the leader as a cute boy or something.
Yes.
I'd like to know more about him, because his story is quite tragic as well, getting this lady pregnant and having a baby that he knows nothing about, and having the death of this lover that he's unaware of. We've spent really no time with him over the last couple of episodes, when at the very start of this season, he was introduced as a real main character, and we're assuming he's going to have a lot to play. I want to see more of him too. So yes, when Xavier and him start walking down the hallway, maybe we'll start to find some answers. Yeah, that's what I'm interested in.
I do assume that they're probably going to be, hopefully not in the finale, probably before then, that there will be at least the conversation between Link and Sinatra in the next episode.
Great.
And then at least we'll have some.
Yes.
Maybe, hey, we've had a pattern here of flashbacks. Maybe it'll be Link's flashback next episode. That wouldn't be a bad idea, actually.
That is a very astute choice, because, everyone gets, or maybe they're saving that for the next season, but every single character gets a flashback, don't they?
I think it's important that we develop Link, to your point, if he's going to be the savior of the world, like we need to understand that. And then maybe we'll understand how he understands Alex. Maybe it's technology he's worked with in the past. So there's a lot of ground that could be covered with a flashback here, and still leave mysteries as to the final twists in the plot. But again, we need to have some kind of character development there.
That's
I'm
true.
not sure
And the
why we
fact that-
spent this time on Jane.
Yeah, I'm just thinking the fact that they know about Alex, maybe they've had some experience with this time management or time travel earlier on in their life. So that's why they kind of know that this is happening. And maybe he knows a lot more than we know that he knows, that we think he knows.
Oh, an important detail I forgot to bring up in a previous episode, and I should bring it up now because it ties into this conversation again, is that Link says to Annie that they're going around turning off the nuclear power plants to prevent some kind of dangerous meltdown. But we know that the crisis this season has been inside of Paradise is that there is not enough power for Alex. And that they just mentioned through this maid, who's also apparently her right-hand person, who's managing Alex, that they've taken care of the energy problem. But I forgot to mention back then that I think what was happening was they were that they knew that Alex and the bunker were pulling energy from the nuclear power plants, and they were turning them off to starve Alex, I think. But they've come up with some alternative energy source.
That's a good point. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because they said they were turning off these nuclear plants for safety, in case it all melted down, these unsupervised plants. But yeah, that makes sense. I don't know, where is the bunker getting their power from, if not from nuclear power? I don't know.
That's a very good question. I don't know where this infinite energy is coming from, unless they figured out cold fusion or something down there. That means the real invention.
Loads and loads of batteries.
Could be. We found them. We knew they were down here somewhere. It's like when you pull the drawer open, oh, that's where all the batteries. Oh, and of course, I did a couple more things to talk about that final moment where Xavier and Gary, interesting piece of dialogue there where he goes, if I don't make it, make sure you tell my wife that I just wanted to keep her and my family safe. And Gary's like, that's all I ever wanted too, which is odd because like keep her safe by killing off Xavier so that she won't pursue him. But like I said, that none of Gary's plan makes any sense. Even if he dies and he thinks it's an accident, she's not going to run into his arms. She's going to want to be with her kids. It still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, he's so clouded. But I do like how he just takes action when he needs to. That's very dramatic. But yeah, he doesn't have a clear goal in mind for sure.
There is some subtlety here to the performance where he does feel bad when he's thinking about pulling that trigger, but he still does it, just like he shot his friend too.
Yeah, great. He still does it for sure.
Darren, the one thing that I'm shocked by in this episode the most, no Elvis cover, no 80s song. What the hell is going on? What show are we even watching here?
Seriously, I was waiting for it. And I'm like, there hasn't been a cover. There still hasn't been a cover. And then I completely forgot at the end that there was none. That's shocking. And I can't believe it. And hopefully they rectify that next episode. My goodness.
They better not be surrendering on that. They got to bring me back like 4 covers next week to make up.
Exactly. Please.
All right. So obviously, as you can tell from our reaction, not the best episode of Paradise, and a little skeptical as to the direction things are going. And also another thing that I'm a little disappointed with here is, will we get anything like the episode The Day, which was such a brilliant episode for season 1? I don't know if they have that in them, unless this Link flashback could cover a lot of ground and could potentially have some real shocking revelations and some real emotional weight. And his backstory could be very tragic as well. So there could be the show could still redeem itself this season, I think, with a really strong episode there. But man, there's only 2 episodes to go. And this has been a pretty uneven bunch of episodes. I mean, like you've mentioned, I have actually been pretty compelled by Xavier's journey, but that's not a season of TV. That's like just one character arc. It's very strange what they've been doing here.
Yep. No, you make a lot of sense. Link's backstory to The Day, I think, would have potential to save the whole series. And I'm really interested in that. I think it's a great idea. And hopefully the showrunners are heading that way.
Yeah, hope so too. On the podcast, of course, we could keep covering The Pit. Well, we keep covering that. And also DTF St. Louis. Darren, are you watching either one of those shows?
No.
No problem.
DTF St. Louis. It's on my list. It crops up every now and again. And I think my wife mentioned that she wanted to watch it. So, yes, I haven't been catching up with you on Sauna's recaps because I do aim to see it down the track. But yeah, I'm not.
Oh, yeah, not the recaps. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you guys are watching it out there, do listen to the recaps. I just meant if you were watching the shows, definitely don't listen to the recaps and ruin the show itself. But yeah, episode 3, I was a little skeptical on DTF. Episode 3, really satisfying episode, making the characters really interesting, doing some of this backfilling of character that hopefully they can do here at Paradise as well. But check it out if you're on the fence. Episode 3 is pretty solid stuff. And we're on this home stretch for The Pit as well. And anybody who's not listening to that, or if you are watching that, my wife, a medical professional, providing medical insights and on all those cases, episode to episode. So check that out as well. And Darren, I'll touch base with you next week.
Excellent. Great talking with you, Victor.
All right. Take care.
Cheers.